We're honored to have Reverend Barry Finker here this morning from Topeka Rescue Mission, and I'd like him to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the October 9, 2014 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Kevin Cook, who serves as vice chair, represents District 2, and Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1. Welcome and good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
First item, please.
Proclamations, presentations. Number 1, presentation by the Kansas Emergency Management Association honoring Corporal Aaron Mahon and Deputy Director Dusty Nichols with a co-instructor of the Year Award for 2014.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Gary Burgess. I happen to be the immediate past president for the Kansas Emergency Management Association, and I'm out of Junction City, Geary County. I'm happy today to be here on behalf of Kansas Emergency Management Association. At our conference in September, we do several presentations, honor several of our players for things that they've done. And the team of R2D1 has been awarded the award for Outstanding Training Instructors for the Year. And tell you a little bit about them. These two have developed and instructed What is Something, a course that was designed as a situational awareness tool that includes the 7 signs of terrorism and crime, along with weather awareness, personal preparedness. It's tailored to the group that they're being delivered to, and it's offered as a standalone community course that is also being delivered as the first 2 hours of an active shooter for healthcare facilities that is instructed by the Shawnee County Emergency Management and the Sheriff's Office, the Police Department here in Topeka, and the state healthcare officials. The team R2D1 is a popular instructor team across the state, and they're usually requested by their name. Their dedication to their students is truly understanding the material that cannot be understated. Individually, they're superior instructors, and together they're entertaining, informative, effective, and enhance the learning experience of everyone. So at this time, I'm going to ask the team of R2D1 to come up and receive their certificate or their plaques, please. Corporal Aaron Mahan, here's your plaque. Appreciate you very much. And the other part of the team is Dusty Nichols. Dusty, here's your plaque. Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioners, for allowing us to come and present this here today.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.
Congratulations, Dusty.
Congratulations. Good for you.
Great work. You're good. You're good.
Next item, please.
Number 2, report on the Public Works Solid Waste Fundraiser benefiting the Rescue Mission.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. As you know, each year the Public Works Department and the Solid Waste Department have a little event each fall in which we take an afternoon and have a little fundraiser for a charitable organization in the community. We had this event a couple of weeks ago, and this year we chose the Topeka Rescue Mission as the organization in town to receive the proceeds that we generated from the event. As Commissioner Archer mentioned, we have Reverend Barry Finker here today. And I must say, the reason we chose the Topeka Rescue Mission from a personal standpoint, and I see what Reverend Finker does for this community to help those that are less fortunate, maybe have fallen on hard times. He is one person that I admire extremely very much. And if we had more folks like Reverend Feeker, this place would be an absolute wonderful place to be every single day. So I personally would like to just say I admire him to no end. But to put this event on, I'm not the one that did all the work. I have a couple of folks from my staff, Janet Morrissey and Robin Kelly, if you would stand up. They're the ones that contacted all the businesses, and we had some folks that are not here today from solid waste who provided a lot of the food for the event. But they contacted the business. We got nearly 90 businesses, local businesses, to supply either gift cards or donations for food or gift certificates, things of that nature. So when we told them this was for the rescue mission, the support was unbelievable. So this is an organization that this community really falls behind. But with that, through the event, we raised $1,635.50. May not be their biggest check they've ever gotten, but it was still hopefully goes towards a good cause, and I know it will. I know there's I think it's a children's palace that they're trying to get off the ground, and hopefully this may be able to go to that, or they can use it for whatever they need. But I know they've got needs, and we would encourage the community to continue to support them in their efforts, because, like I said, what Reverend Feeker does is truly amazing in my eyes, and I think most everyone in this community. So with that, I would like Reverend Feeker to come up. We have a smaller fake check that we made. I didn't want to bring this out. We made this in-house, so that's why it's so small. But we have, and Janet has the real check on your way out. But anyway, we are more than happy and very pleased to be able to present this check to you and the funds to do the work that you do.
Well, Tom, thank you so much. We really appreciate the support, and the kind words are not deserved, but thank you anyway. Just want to give you a real quick picture of what this is about. We talked about the Children's Palace. We are creating a pre-K center, hopefully breaking ground next spring, that will be able to help us address the over 500 children that we have every year that come to the rescue mission. I received a letter a couple of years ago from a young lady here in town that just said, "Thank you so much for letting me volunteer at the rescue mission." And those are always nice to get. She said that she really enjoyed her time, wanted to know if she could bring her 2 daughters back to volunteer. I thought, well, that was pretty cool. But the rest of the letter really took me by surprise. She said, "I stayed here when I was a child at the rescue mission. I remember it being a very difficult time, but I remember it being at Christmas. And I remember 2 other things. I remember smiles on the faces, and I remember Santa Claus." And so if a child at that stage of the game and that part of her life can have that kind of an impact and want to come back and help again, then we've done a pretty good job as a community. So I want to thank you all, thank the county commissioners, thank you. Thank you for your department, again, for this help. Appreciate it very much.
Well, next item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Questions or comments on the consent agenda?
I do not have any.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $390,358.48. Some of the highlights are the payments to the state of Kansas through the holding accounts. We also have a payment to the Kansas Children's Service League. That's a grant through the state grant. And then we have our fees associated with Parks and Recreation as we wrap up the summer activities. Of highlight, and I just bring this to the Commissioner's attention, is some items that we don't have control over, but we should be aware of. We do have costs with the hospitals associated with Department of Corrections, and that's one thing that we have to look at, is those costs with the hospitals associated with inmates at the facility. We also have to look at our rising utility costs. Much like everybody else in the community, we have seen a rise in utility costs in the county. And I don't know that this is a call to alarm, but it is something that we should be aware of when it comes to whether it's West Star or it's the city of Topeka with our water. And so we should just be aware of it. So I would move for approval of the vouchers.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve the vouchers as presented, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Number 2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please, Chris.
Item B, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for fencing for a garden project in the Juvenile Detention Center yard at an estimated cost of $38,000 to be paid with grant funding.
Good morning, Angela McCarty, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. As you know, we've been heavily involved with the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative in our Juvenile Detention Center and here in Shawnee County. One of the core strategies is conditions of confinement for the Annie Casey Foundation, and we receive grant funding from the Kansas Department of Corrections Juvenile Services Division. And that grant money is supposed to be spent for improving conditions of confinement within the juvenile detention facility. This year we received quite a bit more money than we normally receive for that purpose. And so one of the things we would like to move forward is creating and implementing a garden project within the juvenile detention facility. So the first stage for that would be to build a fenced-in area for that purpose. And so that's what we would like to start doing, and that's why we're here today, is to ask for approval to go out for bids for a fenced-in area, which would be located right outside on the west end of our facility, right outside one of our doors that goes into our fenced-in yard area. So we would like to build a fenced-in area, and then eventually in the spring, start working on building garden beds and really forming a structured garden program with our youth through our programs department and reaching out for volunteers with the extension office, Master Gardeners program, and those types of things. So that is why. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those.
I think the JDAI is impressive. What do you say to people who asked you, why are we doing things that seem to coddle people that are in our jail?
Well, one of the things that we really focus on is creating structured programming. We really want our kids to learn how to be leaders, take ownership in things, building their character, and really seeing that they do matter and not just feel like they're locked up and they don't. And one of the other things, too, that people don't realize sometimes in the community is that we have a range of kids, and they are still kids. We have kids that range from coming in for truancy, running away, so they're not, and probation violations and those things, so they're not out committing horrible offenses. Now, we do have kids that are in there for committing horrible offenses, but, so it just kind of ranges. But that is we just want to make sure that we're really working with our kids and making sure that they have a positive environment, because a lot of times they don't have positive environments outside. They're not taught social skills. They're not taught to value themselves, and so we try to provide several different programs to make sure. He made me nervous. Several different programs so they know that they can be productive citizens in the future.
Okay. Right?
Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. The other thing I want to add on, and Angela, you've done a very good job, is the one thing that the public needs to understand is these kids are going to get out. They're not going to stay in incarceration forever. And it is our job and obligation to the community that when somebody is incarcerated, they haven't been convicted of anything, that we provide structured programs to help them learn the skills necessary when they get out, that they're changing their thinking and their behavior patterns. And we're hoping we can do that when they're inside the facility. We hate to see that they're learning these skills inside a jail, but at the same time, it's far from making jail a nice place to be, because it's far from that. We have accountability, we have structure, and we have very strict rules. These are things that we try to reach out to our juveniles and let them know that they have to be a leader. They have to have a certain level of behavior and expected behavior in the facility to participate. But also, when they get out and return to their homes, I want the parents to be able to see that they have a child, and these are kids who are changing their behaviors, we hope, that they're changing their thinking, and they're going on, they're doing better in tests. These programs here that we research are showing that kids are doing better in tests. They're getting meaningful employment through summer jobs and stuff like that because of these types of programs. So I want to be able to, the public to understand is, when they get out, we're hoping that these kids get out, they're thinking differently, they're behaving differently. It makes a safer jail when the kids are busy and not stagnant. And it's just an overall good program, and that's why we're here asking to be able to do the request for, and it is grant services that allow us, and when we submit our budget to Kansas Department of Corrections, they were on board with these types of programs as well, so.
We also plan on incorporating our school program into this, and so using like different science classes to learn about different parts of gardening and life cycles of plants and those types of things as well. So it's not just a program about character and those types of things, but also educational as well.
And to get credits
And to get credits, yes.
for school.
You did a much better job.
Thank you for pointing that. I get questions about
Sure.
that all the
Yes.
time, and I like to keep things simple. The simple answer is, we don't want to see juveniles return as adults.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Any
Commissioner,
other,
I would just note
Commissioner?
that, you know, we look at how things have shifted and working with juveniles as I have for the last, decade with, child in need of care or juvenile offender cases. We have seen a real shift in, is it about retribution or is it about rehabilitation? And if we can intervene in the life of a child and have rehabilitation so they don't become an adult offender, so they are a productive member of society, we should do everything we can. And I do have a question, though. As we look at making the Shawnee County Department of Corrections an accredited facility, and we know that that's a goal of having this as an accredited facility, how does this fit into that goal?
Probably more so in the programming's aspect of,
Well,
'Cause-
go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, when it comes to the accreditation process, we have to have specific important and mandatory standards that provide for written policy and structured programs that are good for helping the juveniles changing their behavior. And so we're going to be required, but also part of that's going to be part of tool control that we're going to have. In part of this, we're going to have written policy, procedures, and structure. So this type of thing, program we have here, when the accreditation committee comes in, they're going to be looking at the structured programs we have. Do we just have simple, here's a coloring book, or do we have actual good programs that they're going to be able to see results and reduce recidivism? And that's when it's going to be part of it. They're going to look very heavily on that.
That's
bring-
part- I'm sorry, that's part of the ACA standards and also with the JDAI standards too.
And I bring that up, this commission has really made a key of, is it key to the mission? Is this part of our overall plan, or is this something separate? And it sounds like this is key to our mission of becoming an accredited facility.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a follow-up
Yes,
question.
Commissioner.
This is grant funded, so we have accountability and measurements in place then to see that progress is being made?
Yes.
In what-
We're accountable
in what
to the KDOC. We'll have to show, yes, we have to show that we've used that money for that purpose because it gets budgeted prior to their approval.
Okay.
So I put that in the budget prior that we would like to move forward with this and what that estimated amount would be for that purpose.
And we'll have outcome measures. We're going to look at the success to see those participating. We follow the kids even when unfortunately, if they do have to come to the adult detention center. But we follow the kids to make sure also that they're not reoffending and looking. So we want to be able to show that these are things that what we're coming before you to say, we want to be able to show that that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Good discussion. Good discussion.
I'd move
Motion?
approval of the grant application, or grant receipt.
Actually, it's
Well,
to
it's just
solicit
to send out
bids. I
solicit
believe.
bids, or move approval of the request to solicit bids for fencing.
There you go.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm not going to repeat that. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Passed 3-0. And thank you, Angela. Thank you, Brian. Next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 363, 2014 with Kansas State University, Kansas Forest Service to award a grant in a revised amount of $16,762.13 for the reduction of eastern red cedar trees in Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Birtles, Park and Recreation. March 3rd of 2014, you approved our application for a grant for this purpose. We did receive the grant. We were approved for $21,100. We spent $16,762, so we need an amended budget and memorandum of agreement signed by the Chair of the County Commission to send back to the Kansas Forest Service. So we're asking for that to be done.
Questions or comments for Mr. Birtles?
Just a comment that I appreciated the mechanical reduction of invasive woody plants. Very technical.
We chopped up a bunch of cedar trees.
And I would just add that this work was done on Burnett's Mound, correct?
Correct.
Was there any other area that,
We did some work in the Warren Nature area, that is
Okay.
the natural area between Felker Softball Complex and McDonald Field. So,
Okay.
did some work there.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. And the goal is to restore Burnett's Mound to what it used to be. How is that project going, by the way?
We're making good progress. I've had a number of people recently comment on the reduction of the invasive woody plants on the mound and the return of what we prefer, the tallgrass prairie environment that we need to have up there.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
second?
Motion made by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Bueller to approve the contract as presented. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Terry. Next item, Chris.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of contract C 364, 2014 with the Senior Community Service Employment Program to aid unemployed, low-income individuals 55 years and older in reentering the workforce by providing subsidized community service training assignments with nonprofit and government agencies to gain experience with no cost to the county.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. Our goal here is to try to put some of these individuals into our community centers, helping alleviate some of our costs. As you're aware, our master plan calls for us trying to partner with other supporting agencies to reduce and alleviate our costs. That's what we're trying to do here. Every little bit helps, and we're happy to be part of this association. Glad to answer any questions.
Is this new? Have we done this in the past?
I talked with the city, has done it before.
Okay.
This is the first time with the county, I
Okay.
think.
Other questions or comments?
No.
The only comment I'll have is I appreciate, Randy, then when you refer it back to the master plan and the fact that we are working from that master plan continuously. So thank you for that.
Mission critical?
Yes.
Well, and I think that's a great point, Commissioner Bueller. I appreciate that. Yeah, everything, or most things that we do should be linked to the master plan. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
I'll move approval of the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook to approve the contract. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next item, please, Chris.
Number 3, consider out-of-state travel for 3 horticulturists to attend a field day sponsored by the Western Nursery and Landscape Association with no cost to the county.
Commissioners, we received a flyer from the Western Nursery and Landscape Association regarding a field day in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. There's a major wholesale nursery producer out of that area, Greenleaf Nurseries. They are providing free transportation to, meals at. Staff is going to pay for their one night of lodging on their own, and then when they come back, they'll share what they learned with their coworkers and a written report to you as a commission. It's valuable information we haven't had an opportunity to have in the past, and it's a benefit that it's nearly free of cost to all concerned, but certainly to Shawnee County. So we're asking for your approval for them to go out of state for that one night.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel and thank the employees. I always admire when employees pay part of the freight to enhance their professionalism and education, and I think that's very admirable. So I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Terry. Next item.
Number 4, consider approval of request to waive the purchasing policy, HR 2014-1, and purchase rubber mats for placement under play equipment in Gage Park from Wade Taylor, the vendor previously selected, and paid with a grant from KDHE, which requires a match obligation from Shawnee County of $28,544.99.
Commissioners, we're asking for the waiver of the purchasing policy to allow us to continue with this grant. As part of the grant application process, we were required to select a vendor from their approved list. We selected Wade Taylor, who is a rubber mat installer that we're familiar with, as our vendor of choice. In consultation with Mrs. Greiner, the best way for us to maintain the spirit of the grant application and not violate the purchasing policy was for us to waive the policy and use this vendor that was approved by KDHE and implement the grant that way.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you again, Terry. Next item, Chris.
Item D, Community Corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant adult intensive supervision officer position at a salary including benefits of $48,946.45.
Good morning, Commissioners at O'Rear Community Corrections. We have a vacancy in our department for an adult intensive supervision officer created by the retirement of Karen Green after 27 years of faithful service to Shawnee County, first at the adult jail and then the majority of years at Community Corrections. I'll be happy to answer any questions. This, of course, is funded by our KDOC grant, as are all of our salaries at Community Corrections.
Got questions for Ed?
Just note that the new hire is going to have some very big shoes to fill. Karen Green was a remarkable just great worker, a great person to work with. I appreciated all the work that she did with Shawnee County over the last 27 years, and so there's going to be some big shoes to fill.
Very, very well said. I appreciate those kind words. I'll pass those along to her.
But I would move for approval of the request to fill the position.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Ed. Next item, Chris.
Okay, item E, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of an application to be submitted to the Kansas Department of Transportation for a request to exchange federal funds in an amount of $604,429, making available $543,896.10 to apply toward the construction of Southwest 29th Street between Southwest Indian Hills Road and Southwest Jerish Road in calendar year 2015.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. This is the Public Works item. And to give you a little background on why this request is here, each year local entities get federal funding sent down from the Federal Highway Administration through the state, or through KDOT, which then is dispersed to local jurisdictions. When federal funds are used for different projects, there are quite a few very stringent administrative and review requirements that ultimately take a lot of time and as a result increase costs of projects. There were several local jurisdictions in the state, and when you had the federal funds, there was a 20% local match, and then by the time by the time you had 20% local match for construction and added on the local jurisdictions also had to pay 100% of design, right-of-way acquisition, and utility costs. The amounts the local entities had to pay for projects like that were probably in the 30 third of the project, roughly. There were several local entities throughout the state that just didn't have the local match. And the state was trying to, so have all these federal funds coming down, but a lot of local jurisdictions couldn't use them. So the state came up with a program called a Federal Fund Exchange Program, in which they would take the federal funds that the local jurisdiction would typically use and allow the local jurisdictions then to convert them into state funds, which have much less requirements and no local match. So this allowed many local jurisdictions throughout the state to then just have funds basically with no strings attached. So I implemented this program, and we have never used it before because we've typically had funds for the local match. But in reviewing the increased administrative duties, the increased review, which can take 6 to 8 months for review and delaying the project, we've come to the belief that utilizing state funds in lieu of the federal funds, we would more than make up the 10% reduction in using the state funds. So that is what our request is. And before I go on, the quality of the project is not compromised. All the design requirements remain the same. So I don't want people to think we're cutting corners. We're not. We're just cutting out administrative costs and review time and things like that. So that is what the request is anytime we want to convert and exchange the federal funds for state funds, we need to file an application with KDOT and make a formal request. And that's what this request is all about. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Is this project on your work schedule for 2015?
Yes, it is. Actually,
Okay.
we've actually moved it up a year. We were originally going to do it in 16.
That's what I thought.
In coordinating with the city of Topeka and their project on 21st Street, they've put that one in 2016 now, so we are moving ours up to 15. And the only hesitation I have on this, we are ready to go as far as the project design and ready to get it to bid. The only hesitation I have is, and we've been in conversation with the utility companies, is getting the utility companies to get their utilities relocated. So, but yes, if those utilities get relocated, we will be constructing this in 2015.
Good deal. Any other questions, Commissioner?
Thank you. Total cost of the project, this is just a portion of it, correct?
Yeah, total cost of the project is like $3.4 million.
So the other dollars come from what source?
From different funding sources that county funds that we've built up, like the local matching funds that we get budgeted each year. We've been stockpiling some of those for this project. I think we've had some excess funds from other projects that have finished under budget.
Okay.
So we've taken funds from those projects and put them into this account. So a combination of different funds like that.
Thank you.
Questions?
I'd move approval of the request to exchange the federal funds for state funds.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
All right, thank you.
Tom, thank you. Next item, please.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. I just want to touch on a few things that have come up in the last week or so. As you're aware, with the grand opening of Walmart, the Silverbacks program received a $2,500 grant. That program is a local group that provides youth hot meals, and we're proud to be associated with them. They used our Hillcrest Community Center in the past, and we've been associated with them on other projects, and I just wanted to say we're really pleased to continue this partnership with them and provide these services for the youth of Topeka. Also, touch a real brief, we had our Apple Festival last weekend. Unfortunately, I was out of town. I think John Bell said a lot of the commissioners were there, or a few of you. It was very successful. He thought it was probably his biggest Apple Festival to date. Beautiful day. Everything, I think, went very well. And lastly, I did want to mention our Senior Olympics. Concluded last weekend. We had over 800 athletes competing in 18 different events throughout all of Shawnee County. And we received numerous compliments on staff as well as the events. But with any big event like that, every so often we do have some incidents. The first weekend we had a bike accident with 3 individuals at Heartland, and one went down pretty hard. They were transported to the emergency room. Lynn Bishop was out there. She met them at the hospital, stayed there the whole time, and they're fine. We did receive a letter back from this patron and complimented our staff and Lynn on her dedication. I just wanted to bring that up. And then this past weekend, at our seniors basketball at Hillcrest, we had a gentleman, 79 years old, that had a massive heart attack on the court. He went down. We had our staff there for CPR, as well as 2 Good Samaritans out of the crowd that were registered nurses, one from Texas and one from Nebraska. He was pretty well gone, and we have an AED available. We administered that and brought him back to life. So it's really a feel-good story. Our staff did a good job. I just want to commend Lynn Bishop again. She spent many of her personal hours at the hospital this last 2 weekends, and I just wanted to say thank you to her. So anyway, it's a good story. When he came out of surgery, he had 6 clogged arteries. He had 6 bypasses. When he came out, his first question was, did they win the basketball tournament? So I believe he's being discharged today on his way back to Oklahoma. So anyway, I just wanted to touch point.
Yeah, that was a great story, and I enjoyed reading about it. The AD is, what's
Yes.
that?
Automatic defibrillator.
Okay.
I knew
Okay.
you were going to ask that. And I
Yeah,
checked that.
yeah, I wanted to make sure people
It was-
understood that was
And we
tremendous
trying to
thing.
have them in all our community centers, and
Yep.
we do, but we do need to probably get some at some of our parks, Gage Park available. There's just areas that you see the importance. Hopefully you never have to use them, but this one time it came in very handy.
But it saved a life.
Yes, it did.
Saved a life.
Saved it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. I just wanted to mention again that on October 18th, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, we will be having our tire amnesty event at the North Annex, which is located at 1515 Northwest Saline, from 9 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. People will be allowed to drop off 5 tires, and this year we are asking people. It's not a requirement. We won't turn anyone away, but we're asking them if they could bring some can of food, or some cans of food for the local pantry. That would be very. Lose my word. We'd be very grateful. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that again.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Morning, Commissioners. Allison Alejos, Health Agency. I just wanted to talk just very briefly and pretty broadly about some of the activities that we're doing related to Ebola here in our community. Obviously, there's a lot of information that's floating around. You see it on the news, you see it on different social media websites and things of that nature, and did not want you all to think that we did not have some active role in what was happening. Some of the things that we were doing, obviously, we monitor the situation very closely in our community, as well as other communities, so that we are aware and understand the risks that we all face, potentially what we can do to prevent risk to our community as a whole. We have been working very hard to increase our communications with our local healthcare provider community, along with other folks in the community that are asking for information, requesting fact sheets and things of that nature. We're trying to get those things together and out so folks have access to them. We have been working really hard to get our staff educated. Obviously, we investigate diseases and work very hard to contain diseases in our community. That is a very routine part of our day-to-day job, so we know that, but that's probably not very apparent in the community overall. Ebola, for example, is not something that we see in Shawnee County. We don't see it in the U.S. with the exception of what we're seeing in Dallas. So we want to make sure that our staff are up to date on those disease investigation guidelines and things that they need to do to respond effectively should we actually receive a case in our community. Also want to make sure that the healthcare community has information they need so that they can do that as well. We are also working very hard to review our local response plan as it relates to any kind of community containment that might be needed. Example, isolation and quarantine guidelines and how we would implement those in Shawnee County. We've been having conversations with not only our health officer, but we've got meetings scheduled with the sheriff's office and are going to be reaching out to Topeka Police Department to see if they are available to have some of those conversations with us. And also so that, again, our staff understand and the healthcare community how isolation and quarantine would be implemented. We want to make sure, again, that we are ready to respond as an agency if we should have an Ebola case come so that we can contain that disease very quickly and eliminate it from our community. Again, I have to remind everyone that Ebola is only transmissible via direct contact with bodily fluids of somebody that's infected with the disease. It is not an airborne respiratory transmission, so there's a lot of conversation and confusion about that, and I just want to make that very clear. And finally, just to let you all know, as the Board of Health, we are meeting on October 16th, and as part of that Board of Health meeting, we will spend a significant amount of time talking about isolation and quarantine. What's the difference between the two? What are the statutes that we follow within our community, and how do we make those things happen if we need to? So we will have that conversation. Unfortunately, the health officer will not be here on that day, but we have been in very close communication, and he is accessible 24/7 for us if we should need him, even if he's not in town. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I will make a very good effort at trying to keep you all updated as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Allison.
Good morning, John Thunwell, Director of Human Resources. Just as a quick reminder, Shawnee County will be hosting a job fair at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library on October 30th from 3 to 7. There'll be staff members on hand to help with the application process. As of today, we're still recruiting for over 20 different positions, so make sure you visit our website at www.snco.us/jobs to apply for any of these positions. So just make sure you save the date, October 30th from 3 to 7 at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library. We'll have more details a little bit later.
Good, thank you, John.
Good morning, Commissioners. Misty Kruger, Shawnee County Health Agency. I just wanted to make you aware of a project that's getting ready to start in our community called Bikes for Discount. As you are aware, we released our Community Health Needs Assessment in early 2013, and physical inactivity was one of the issues that were identified in that. Through that, it has now become a priority area for our Community Health Improvement Plan for Shawnee County. And so with the Workwell Shawnee County group, which is a group of employers who are looking at ways to increase physical activity, health, general things for their employees, they are starting this Bikes for Discount program. The Shawnee County Health Agency as well as Parks and Rec are represented on Workwell Shawnee County, and so they're currently working with local retailers that will offer discounts to consumers who come in riding a bike with a bike helmet. And so they are working on getting signage up for those retailers, and the retailers will offer a discount to those people who do that. And this is also being joined with the bike share program that the Metro is working on as well. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Misty. Anyone else? Commissioner Cook?
Commissioners, recently I've been approached by a number of constituents who've quite candidly called me to task about practicing what we preach, and it relates to recycling. And Shawnee County for the last 2 years has been talking about recycling and the benefits of recycling and for our consumers. But how much does Shawnee County recycle? And specifically at the courthouse, do we try to recycle at the courthouse? And so I just want to let you know that I'm going to be working with Tom Vlock to see what the Shawnee County Courthouse may be able to do, what other departments may be able to do to reduce our impact on the environment. If we talk about the benefits of recycling and we ask people to participate in recycling, we should be also prepared to do so and have an active campaign for it. And so I just want to let the commissioners know that that's something that I hope to be working with Tom Vlock on.
Good, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bueller?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, just real quick, I was walking downtown the other day, and they're pouring concrete on Kansas Avenue. And I recall being on the city council several years ago when the vote came up to put infrastructure on Kansas Avenue. And I had a lot of mixed feelings about it, but supported it. And I only bring that up because I want to congratulate the business community for stepping up. They've contributed, I think it's close to $3 million now for
2.7.
2.7, thank you. Going to lose some of my financial standing. But, yeah, I really want to congratulate the business community for stepping up, particularly for the things that are going to enhance the appearance of downtown Topeka. I think that's a great thing, and again, congratulations and thanks to all the businesses that have contributed to making our community a better place to live. So, next item, please.
Item 6, executive sessions.
There's not a need, so we are adjourned.
Don't worry, if that CPA thing doesn't work out, you can always become an attorney.
So you want me to downgrade myself?
Isn't that how most CPAs see it?